Hi,
Hey there.
blessings.
Blessings. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing amazing. Doing amazing. We just got done with some good energy. We got done with a Qigong session earlier. We just did the Qigong session with the tribe, so we're feeling the vibe.
Good. Yeah, I've been enjoying starting my days lately with yoga and Pilates and things like this, but not as much Qigong. That would be nice. But yeah, I like to start my mornings with a morning practice and also communing with the sun. So that's why I'm out here now, trying to get the sun because it's a beautiful day here in Santa Barbara. Got to take advantage.
Beautiful, beautiful. Santa Barbara. Yeah, I'm over here in Texas side. The sun still is doing its best. It's some gray skies today, but we're managing. We're managing here. Yeah. Santa Barbara, that's beautiful. You know, and I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. What do your friends call you?
A lot of my friends call me Madi, that's my name, but yeah, my name online, my artist name, my priestess name is Mary Isis.
Mary Isis and Maddie.
Yes.
Maddie, like Maddie.
Madi.
Okay, Madi, Maddie, got it, got it. So, Maddie, much love. You know, I'm really appreciative and really grateful that you came on here today with us just to speak a word and just to tell us a little bit more about you because, you know, if anybody didn't really understand or really know what you're all about and they just met you for the very first time, Maddie, how would you describe yourself?
I would say I am a very devotional person, um, carrying the path of connecting to the sacred, and I love to connect with nature and um, community. I am very interested in a lot of esoteric teachings as well.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I'm also trained and immersed in Tantra. That's the main work I do here. Uh, yeah, it's a little bit about me. There's multi layers that could be shared.
Absolutely. You know, multidimensional, you're definitely not one-dimensional. You're multifaceted, you know, multidimensional in every way because when you're talking about esoteric knowledge, you know, just perusing your page, I feel like a lot of Kemetic energy, like a lot of Egyptian, a lot of Kemetic energy. Is this kind of steeped in the esoteric knowledge that you started to go into, or is it like even more vast, like way more vast?
I would say, yeah, mainly when it comes to the esoteric teachings, I am very immersed in the ancient Egyptian. As a priestess of Isis, I think that's a large part of my path is connecting with those teachings, the Khemetic teachings, which connect a lot with the topics of Breatharianism too, and fasting, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, also I found a lot of interest and connection to the ancient Christ teachings, like before Christianity, and I find a lot of syncretism between these as well. Mainly like the Gnostic and the Essene teachings.
Okay. Gnostic and the Essenes. So like the Gospel of the Essenes?
Yeah, there's different texts with the Essenes, but yeah, like I've been studying one called the Holy Megillah, but I guess the most common that people would know would probably be the Gospel of Peace.
Okay, the
Um,
Gospel of Peace. Okay.
but yeah, when it comes to the Gnostic Gospels, it's like the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Philip that um,
Mhm.
share and indicate and reveal a lot about the true essence of Christ and what that really means.
Whoa, whoa. And you used a word I haven't heard before. Was it syncretized? What was it?
Syncretism.
Syncretism. Can you I've never heard that word. Can you describe
Yeah,
that?
yeah, so it's really about finding commonality or shared teachings beyond from different cultures, like cross-referencing how I find a lot of connection between the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Christ teachings. Like I've found that a lot of the um, ancient Christ teachings come from ancient Egyptian teachings. There's a lot of crossover and other pagan ancient religions in general. Like a lot was appropriated in different um, religious concepts moving forward through time. So there's a lot of syncretism amongst these cultures and teachings and practices.
Wow. Wow, Maddie. I'm already learning. I'm already learning so much, Maddie. Thank you. Thank you for this, syncretism. This is the first time I've ever heard the word, and now, you've graciously added it to my arsenal, syncretism,
Yeah, it's a
because
great word.
I don't know about yourself, Maddie, but I was raised very religious. I was raised in the church, partly Seventh-day Adventist on my mother's side, and then just Christian. We'd go to church on Sundays with my dad's side of the family. So, we didn't learn about like esoteric, anything esoteric was considered very secular, was considered, maybe even satanic,
Yeah,
maybe even demonic, maybe
it's
blast.
super, yeah, definitely. It's really interesting in like the scholarly academic world. Like there's kind of like the canonical and the non-canonical texts, and anything that's non-canonical, for example, like the Gnostic Gospels are basically seen as false, but really there's like plenty of evidence that these were most likely written by devotees of the true lineages of Christ that were hidden at the time that the church was developed. So yeah, there's been a lot of, I guess, suppression on the true teachings and could even be seen as satanic or aversion. But yeah, there's a lot of like illusion and um, oppression, I guess, around these teachings.
Yeah. You're telling me, so when did you first come into the consciousness? When did you first start uncovering the correlations and connections to, the Kemetic teachings and as well as Christianity, like Christ and Kemet? When did those two coincide for you?
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting question to pinpoint. But I feel like I guess when I got connected to ISIS, which was kind of a random experience, because before that, I didn't really have much connection to ancient Egypt. I didn't feel like I didn't even know who Isis was really. And then I was sitting in a meditation, a ceremony with an elder, and I connected to her essence for the first time. She came to me, and I could feel like the golden frequency and like her wings like around me, and I received an etheric crown, and that didn't have much more meaning at the time, but um, as things evolved, like in my life and through time, I felt that she was guiding me and leading me to these different things and openings, and teachings would come to me. And yeah, I guess in the last few years, I've been studying really deeply on that syncretism and the connection between those, and also how like Mary Magdalene was a priestess of Isis and from those lineages, and so I think that's how a lot gets like carried on and like carried through. So when I also started learning about her and her aspect to the feminine Christ, and um, I started to see these like commonalities and um, these merging of teachings. Like actually, the word Christ comes from Egypt. It's Krst, and it means like the anointed. So actually, yeah, it's super fascinating.
It is. It is. And just, how much you've deep dived into this knowledge. Like when it comes to the feminine Christ, the feminine Christ, you're talking about these things. If somebody is listening to you, Maddie, and they're like, wow, what would it be like to do a meditation with the elders and to receive a vibration and a communication and have a conversation within the meditation to feel the wings of Isis, and you said you received your etheric crown. Can you talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, I don't know how else to share about that. I guess that was a coronation or like a crowning of, I don't know. I I guess it was maybe some like spiritual initiation or something.
Yeah. What
Um,
what did it feel like?
I just felt a really high frequency of golden energy like coming into my field. And that's all that was experienced in that moment. But I noticed that like after that was when I started connecting to teachings of the ancient womb teachings and connecting to the teachings and of the priestesses of Isis and the ancient Egyptians and Mary Magdalene. And so it's like, honestly, it feels like it was pivotal from that moment. And so I'm not sure why it happened that way or like logically, I don't know, what was happening, but that was just like a experience that I had that seemed like from that moment forward, I was connecting deeper to the teachings and having awakenings and remembrances of these ancient teachings and was like being called to go to Egypt um, really strongly and had different bodywork sessions that were really interesting where um, when I would start to go into that like half wake, half sleep state when you're receiving body work, that like liminal space, I would start to have different experiences where I was like brought into the temples and like um, remembering when I was there in the temples or times where the temples were still active and alive of them doing energy work and body work also and different things. So yeah, I don't know. I just started to have awakenings and remembrances from that moment. I guess it was like I was reconnecting back to these aspects of myself of being a priestess of Isis from that experience in that moment.
Hmm. So like a remembrance, like a
Yeah.
remembrance, yeah,
But
like
the
a reclamation.
remembrance wasn't full in that moment. It was like it happened through different experiences after that, but it was kind of like the catalyst or the opening moment.
Okay, okay. And like when you're going through something like this, just like you said, Maddie, some things they're not logical. When you have a profound experience, a profound spiritual awakening, as many people refer to it as, I mean, there's nothing logical. It could be very illogical, it could be very irrational. Like you can't really rationalize or kind of conceptualize what's actually taking place. Like you said, the golden beam of light, like a golden stream in the golden beam, and just all of these things that are happening. Because when it comes to working with energy, being an energy worker, before that point, when you had that awakening, were you always working with energy before? Like, were you very conscious of energy in particular?
Yeah, yeah. I've when I've referenced this to other people before, I've called that like my second spiritual awakening that I refer as like my priestess awakening, whereas like before that, because that happened like the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. And but before that, I had like a spiritual awakening in 2016 or 2014, more like. So yeah, I was always connected to energy, but that was just more of like my awakening into like the Egyptian and like my strong ties and like soul connection and blueprint to being a priestess of Isis.
Okay. And when you went to Egypt, Maddie, what was that like for you?
It was really special. Yeah, the temples are like walking libraries, or like you're walking through like a giant library of like information and symbols encoded. Um, and so each pilgrimage, I think for each individual that goes to Egypt, is a unique soul experience. Like everyone has their own different, awakenings or remembrances walking through the temples. So certain things might get awoken in you from looking at a certain hieroglyph. Someone else might be having a different experience with something else. And yeah, it's just really powerful. There's so much to decode and to remember. And I feel like the temples are stargates. Like I feel like ancient Egypt was a galactic city in a lot of ways, and they definitely have astrological reference all over. And even when they were built, they were aligned with different stars, or there's a lot of solar temples as well where the ceilings are open. And yeah, so, and the different Neteru are connected with different star lineages. And so yeah, I had some really special experiences when I was at the top of the pyramid. um, we did a private ceremony in the king's chamber, and we just toned and went into sound, which I think a lot of the temples were designed to like be in sound, to enter other dimensions. And it's a lot of the teachings of Hathor is like working with sound. And so we were doing that, and I could really just feel like my galactic ancestors really strong in that. And I was just singing and crying, and it was really beautiful. And yeah, there's just a lot of magic to be had there, and a lot of remembrances I had seeing different symbols and uh, yeah, different images there.
Absolutely. And you mentioned briefly the teachings of Hathor. Is that the goddess of fertility or a different Hathor?
Yeah, she's a fertility goddess.
Okay. So kind of like the that symbol, like the Ankh, that Ankh symbol, like fertility.
Yes.
Okay. Hathor, because I'm just
Well,
learning these. Say it again.
yeah. Hathor, she's kind of feels like the sacral and the throat chakra to me. Yeah, she feels, um, yeah, she feels like the womb. She feels also like sensuality and pleasure, sort of like an Egyptian Venus per se. And also, yeah, she connects a lot with sound.
Mm-hmm.
And basically all the senses,
Yeah.
like connecting to your sensuality
Right.
is working with Hathor. Um, but yeah, some say the Ankh is the symbol of the womb and the phallus, but also the Ankh is, the literal translation is the breath of life. And so the Ankh ties in a lot to the Breatharianism and the pranic living, the pranic teachings as well. The ancient Egyptians were really connected to the idea of breath and like the Ka body, the light body. I received information the last few months that through reading some texts that the Egyptians, priests and priestesses, were often practicing fasting and only ate like alive foods.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
And you're currently, Maddie, you're on a juice feast right now, aren't you?
yeah.
How long have you been going on your juice feast?
I think this is day 7 or day 8.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Fireworks shooting off.
Congrats! Day 8? So wait, hold on, Maddie. Day 8, this is day 8 right now of no solid food.
Correct. Yep.
Wow.
Drinking
And,
that liquid sunshine, that
and,
liquid light.
and what is your experience with this? You've done this before, I'm assuming?
I've actually never done a juice fast until
This,
now. I've done a fruit fast,
mhm.
but yeah, this is my first juice fast,
Wow.
which is actually a lot easier than I thought.
Can you can you talk about it? Like first, what was your initial, your impetus? What was the motivation? What was the inspiration to even start the Juice Feast?
Um, yeah, so yeah, in the last year or two, I feel like as I am called to be ascending more and more, my body is like rejecting denser foods like more than I used to. I feel like I used to be able to eat anything, or maybe I just wasn't as sensitive or in tune to how the foods were affecting me. But yeah, as I just like ascend and become more sensitive, it's like my body was physically rejecting certain foods through different symptoms like indigestion and bloating. And I've been vegan for 8 years, but like I don't know, like for some reason now, um, yeah, I'm just being called to go deeper and um, notice like how my body feels with certain foods. And it's just so clear lately that fruit and yeah, liquids, it just feels like the quick energy of fruit and like how it affects my body. I feel like the most electric and the most alive. So, um, yeah, so I was watching a lot of interviews
Hmm.
on I don't know if you know Jillian Berry,
Yeah,
but
we did an interview together. She interviewed me.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
she's
her.
she's awesome.
Uh, I love all of her videos and interviews about interviewing people doing long extended juice fasts and like the crazy amounts of experiences that they all have of, releasing so much waste and like mucoid plaque and healing like every illness and disease you could imagine. I've seen through juice fasting and people's experiences like um, diabetes, cancer, blood pressure, like everything under the sun, skin stuff. And so, yeah, I think I just really wanted to try it to try to like heal whatever, was happening through like bloating and like indigestion of these denser foods that just weren't sitting in my stomach anymore. So, yeah, I really just want to do like a full colon cleanse.
Hmm. Just like a
Um,
all-around purification, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it feels really devotional to be doing this. It's like a ritual every day, and I'm supplying my body with this really electric food. I'm gathering all the fruits. I'm connecting with the food in a way that I didn't before. And yeah, the ritual, like making the juice and drinking the juice in the sun, and like yeah, it feels really good, and it's really fascinating how much more energy I have when I am operating this way. And that's why I shared in a message we had too about like the dismantling of the our concepts around food and eating and these constructs we have and what we actually do need or don't need because um, yeah, it almost seems like when I eat denser foods, like I actually have less energy. So, because it's taking so much to digest, it's actually not what my body's needing. And so, like, is that actually giving me energy? But when I give myself this life force, this fruit, this juice, I'm so much more energized. So, I'm just being called to really listen to this and create new patterns and systems of
Absolutely.
chronic living.
We feel it, you know, we definitely feel it. Just, you know, listening to your revelations and just, you know, your proclamation of your body's emancipation, you know, just the understanding that we can break free from so many things that we feel have held us shackled for so long. Because, I mean, you know, to the average human being walking around in society, they would feel what you're doing is suicidal. I mean, like you should be dead by now. Like
Yeah.
the average person thinks you should be dead by now. Like, you know, after 3 days, no solid food, they think they're withering away. So
Yeah.
what kind of like, you know, was something that really prepared you to go the distance, because you're already on day 8. You're feeling great on day 8, you know, like can you talk about that wavelength?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's funny. People think, oh, fasting, like deprivation, but those do not equate like at all. I mean, especially juice fasting in particular, because like you're receiving calories and energy for the body to detox. Um, Comparatively, like water fasting, it's a completely different thing, which are both beneficial in different regards. But yeah, I think what prepared me, honestly, I was transitioned to raw food for several months, and I think that also helped support my body into kind of readjusting into eating just more live food and pranic food in general. Um, and then I think also doing the fruit fast, I did that in December, and that I think also prepared me to be able to be ready for the juice fast. Watching all the interviews of the people's experiences too, I think mentally prepares you a lot as well. I think also having group support, like I like didn't want to do it alone for some reason. That was probably just like a blockage I was creating, but um yeah, I mean having people do it with you, whether that's online or in person, can be really great. So yeah, I'm in a group online studying right now
Awesome.
the raw food, the sunflower food with Eris Latom, and
Awesome.
so that's nice to
Yes.
be doing it in a group and in community as well, because you can kind of share the different fluctuations that you may go through, especially in like the first few days.
Yeah,
Um,
Eris is a veteran. He's a veteran in the game. OG.
yeah, but
OG.
something that really like yeah brought my mind into realizing like it's not deprivation, like it's not like you're not like, you know, not getting what you need, is that also studying how like carbohydrates and like the electricity from food is actually nourishing you, but also like a gallon of different juices is around like 2,000 calories, and in most juices, um, in most juice fast protocols, you're supposed to be drinking, they say, around like a gallon of juice a day. So you're getting energy still from the fruit, but because you're not taking on any fiber and density, it's still allowing your body the break and digestion to go into autophagy to break down the bad cells or the parasites or the toxins or the old waste and the mucoid plaque to actually go, but you're still getting more energy to, you know, move about your day, especially for those who, you know, may still be eating a lot of denser foods. Like it may be easier to like transition
Good point. Good
that
point, Maddie. So
way.
yeah. So speaking of, you know, the parasites, the plaque, or just, you know, the organisms that need to be released, you know, for more love and more peace, you know, have you noticed on day 8 any things like eliminating throughout this, you know, from day 1 to now? Have you noticed certain things eliminating? And
Yeah.
yeah, what has it illuminated for you?
Yeah, so I should mention too that one of my motivations, because you had asked me, was also parasites, because I've done a lot of international travel, and um, around the 1 to 2 years ago when I started getting a lot of digestive issues too, was after I had gotten some really bad parasites um, in Guatemala and accumulated probably from other places I've been, because I've gotten sick in a couple of places. But in Guatemala, the parasites were so bad, I was like having bloating that went on for months and
What,
months, and
what
like it was I was craving like sugar, which I never do, and like really like weird foods.
where
So
did you feel like they came from in Guatemala? Where do you feel like you got
I
them from?
don't know. They're really prevalent there. It's really hard to avoid because um it's just in the water. San Marcos is on a lake, and I don't think, I think they dump things in the lake. I think there's several kinds of bacteria that exist in the water. I think most of the water, the tap water, is being sourced from the lake. Like,
Oh,
and so, not that even if you're not drinking tap water, which is obviously a given, like it's still going to be affecting things like perhaps you go to a restaurant or something and they wash a dish, maybe there's some water left over, or maybe they washed a fruit or vegetable, or like water is in everything, and like even um the way you grow food, you're using water. I don't know what water they're using, or even like the soil could be technically contaminated if it had feces that was contaminated in the soil from like, I don't know, fertilization, or I don't know, but there's several ways. Even just touching a doorknob. For some reason, out of all the places I've traveled, like everyone gets parasites there. It's really bad.
okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know
So,
why.
yeah. So then you said, how did you handle that? Like, that was one of the reasons why you wanted to purify. You said you felt like you caught something in
Yeah.
Guatemala.
Yeah, because I've been to Guatemala the last 2 years. I got back probably about a month ago now, or yeah, a few weeks ago, and um, yeah, I also spent 2 months there around the same time last year, and yeah, I just feel like they're still there. I actually did a bioresonance session that indicated that I do have several microscopic parasites, but most people do. Like when she like identified all the parasites on this bioresonance machine, and it seemed like a lot when I saw them, and she was like, actually, that's like pretty average for most people.
Whoa, so this was
Um,
a bioresonant, like, so she was looking in with a bioresonance machine, and
yeah,
you said that she saw like a
yeah,
lot. You said it was a lot,
yeah,
but
it was like 20. I have a picture of all these different specifically identified parasites that are in my body,
and she
and
said that's average. That's average.
she said that's average.
Wow. Wow.
And yeah, no like worms, which that was like a horrifying image, but definitely I have a lot of different things, but I guess that's super common and normal, especially on the lake, but even Americans too. I mean, yeah, it's really common. I mean, everyone's living with parasites. Um,
Man.
yeah.
Man. So, with this knowledge, you said that now on day 8, this juice feast, no solid food, but you're just drinking juices. You said it's actually a lot easier than you thought it would be. Why do you feel that?
I was scared. I guess I had worries of like, I don't know, being hungry um or I don't know. I don't know what my fears were, but I guess I just was scared I wouldn't be able to do it, or I'd feel like tired, or I don't know, because I'm also a really active person, and I was like worried about that. And actually I'm feeling more charged and more alive, and So yeah, that surprised me, and like if I do experience hunger, like I just drink more juice. It's pretty
Wow.
simple.
Wow, simplicity. You
Yeah.
know, simplicity is just, we don't have to make things hard. We it's like we're used to complexity, you know. We're not really used to simplicity. We're used to complexity. Like even when you just look on the back of a cereal box, you see all the ingredients on the label of a cereal box. That's pretty complex, like trisodium
Right.
phosphate, like all of this
I
stuff, like
know. It's
stuff you can't
horrendous.
even pronounce. Some of this stuff that's complex, you
Yeah,
know?
one of my goals for 2025 actually, especially now that I'm like transitioning to raw foods and all this, is to make all my own food, which I mainly do already. Um, but I was still buying things like coconut milk or coconut yogurt or raw hummus. And even those, like, there's the oil and like sunflower oil in the raw hummus, and even the most cleanest coconut milk I could find had guar gum. And so I realized it's actually so simple to make these things. And yeah, I want to connect deeper with my food and both creatively and energetically. So
Yeah.
actually, it's really cool because Eris Latom, he has this really interesting idea on water. He hasn't drank water in like 50 years. He's he's
No
only
water.
he's only drank living water, which he identifies as perfect molecular structured water from fruits and coconut water. Mind you, he lives in Panama, so he has like an access to coconut water, but
No water for 50 years, for 5 decades. 5 decades, no
he,
water.
yeah, it's a really interesting theory. He follows around electrical water. So I wanted to try it for this fast. So I actually haven't had a drink of regular water in the 7 days that I've been juice fasting. So I've been ordering Thai coconuts because this obviously helps support that a lot. And I feel really good. And actually, I'm more hydrated and I'm witnessing my pee, and it's a lot less yellow. And uh, yeah, so yesterday I had 27 coconuts that I had to process the meat out of, and freezing it all so that I can make my own coconut milk and coconut yogurt. And I'll also be making Lou Corona's yogurt recipe with his enzymes. But honestly, from this juice fast, I feel so good that I almost just want to like keep going even after the 21 days and like feel, or at least like mainly juice, because that's actually how I feel the best. Like I even notice so subtly if I eat something like coconut milk or coconut yogurt, how much longer that takes to digest in the
Right.
system. And it just like slows my energy down. Like
Yeah.
I'm just so sensitive to even things like that it's like juicing really just feels so great.
We're the same, Maddie. We're
Yeah.
the same, Like I say this all the time. Back when I was, doing this for the first time I just wanted to go 1 month. That was it. This was back in 2019. I was only gonna do 30 days, just 1 month. And by the end of that month, same thing as you, Maddie. I felt so good. I didn't want to stop. I was like, why do I have to stop? You know? Like why do I have to stop? Like let me just keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just didn't even want to go back to eating because I was like, I've never felt this good in my life. And at that point, I was 28 in my late 20s. So I was like, how have I not felt this good for all these years? And all I did was stop eating. That's it. You
Yeah.
know? What is that? That
Yeah,
was totally,
you're
totally
a
illogical.
you're a
Yeah.
true inspiration and example and role model of that in a sustainable and longevity way. And so, yeah, I'm really honored to just be like sharing this call with you and being with like-minded people because, yeah, it's so inspiring that you've done that. And I'm sure Yeah, you've gotten a lot of really odd remarks, but it's like you don't know until like you're experiencing it and you feel all the visceral effects that it has on your body, like comparatively. And
Exactly.
yeah,
You said it.
yeah,
You said it. And I'm still learning, you know. I thank you for that. Like, thank you for that sentiment. I appreciate that. And I received that. I'm still a student. I really see myself as like a baby in this, you know, like it's endless. It's really endless when we
forever
just,
a student.
yeah, there's no destination. Like this is the optimal vibration and I'm done, you know, I'm done. Like it just keeps going, you know? So right when I think that, you know, that I've reached some sort of a mountain, I look up and there's another mountain right there. You know, it just keeps on going. You keep climbing and you keep finding and discovering and uncovering just new wavelengths, new broadband, like new vibration, new frequency that you do frequently. So when you're
What are
talking about this, you know, Maddie, I love when you were saying just the correlations and the connections that you have drawn from just breatharianism, pranic living, these words that are very esoteric and very, to some people, they're very new age, but you made it seem like this is ancient, you know, like this is ancient. Can you go just a little bit more into this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all of the ancient teachings have some practice of breath or life force, like some word for this or some symbol for this. Like we were talking about the Ankh or also the Ka body with the Egyptians, but of course, you know, prana, um, uh, that comes from the more yogic and tantric teachings, this breath, um, and the different like prana practices that people practice. And yeah, I mean, even right now in this very moment, there are some some monks or some devotees of some kind, probably in India, in some cave, this very second, meditating, and they are very likely like there's some that are like 200, like 400 years old meditating in a cave right now.
Just thinking about that, you know, just thinking that, like, wow, just
Yeah, like
imagine.
there's actually people on this planet right now holding that. They're like in just such a pure state of meditation and they're just there. That they're like living these long lengths. You can look this up too. Like there are actually people that are this old, like meditating in a cave right now in India. And
Wow. So what did that
yeah.
kind of, go ahead?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of examples of how ancient these practices of breath and
Right.
um
So what did that kind of tell you about us just as a species, you know, like us as a human being, as a light being, but as this species that we are, you know, people have this conception or this perspective that we're naturally supposed to break down at a certain stage or a certain age, you know, like naturally. You know, somebody gets you know, like a stroke or a heart attack at 60 or something, right? They're in their 60s or 70s or something happens to somebody and they're gone, you know? And then somebody hears what happened and they say, "Well, how old were they?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, they were like 68 or something." Well, you know, he was at that age. You hear this, right? Like, well, he was at that age,
yeah.
you know? And it's like, what do you mean? What age? You know, what age are we supposed to perish? Like what that doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of this can be mental also because we have been conditioned to think, you know, we live like a certain amount of time. So mentally we could be thinking, oh, at this time we're like starting to decline because that's what we see, that's what we've seen around us, it's what we've seen in our parents or the older generations. But honestly, I feel that a lot of this is because we're fed mentally and like literally and non-literally, like the really just things that aren't serving our body and what is possible in our highest capacity as humans. Um, so like our food is aging us. Like this is why also colon health is so important, and a lot of these ancient practices like the scenes also of Christ, like they do fasting to like purge and detox because yeah, the colon's really essential. I think a lot of the illness and diseases we see today are mainly from toxins and parasite buildup that are just sitting in our body for so long that we actually start to decline. But a lot of this can be like stress and emotional and otherwise. But I also see like we're at such a limited capacity of what is possible for humanity actually. And I think what's interesting about a lot of these more advanced spiritual cultures was that they had some of the concepts that were on the trajectory and timelines of immortality, not like maybe totally and completely, but just like living longer. And I'm really curious about like our DNA also and how different things affect our DNA, like perhaps our food or just different things that have been put on the planet that are altering like who our capacity as humans. And because like only a certain part of our DNA is actually online, and I'm like, what would that be like? Can we comprehend our DNA is fully all online, like all of our strands of DNA? And I don't know, I've had remembrances too of like Lemuria or Atlantis. Different people who have channeled the Akashic records can like remember how life form was like less dense, less material. It was more fluid and like transient in density. And I think that's because actually more of their DNA was online. But this might be kind of far out, but I feel like honestly, like there's different things that are being put on our planet to like limit our DNA and limit our capacity. Um, and
Wow. Wow.
like keep it, but our true nature, our true birthright is spiritual enlightenment, but we've actually like forgotten this or had like different implants or just like different like biological and like spiritual warfare that is like affecting actually our full capacity as humans.
Right, because even when you're speaking this, Maddie, while you were speaking, I kind of got a vision, of a lot of the stuff that I used to eat on the regular, like that toxic forming, sludge forming, foreign matter, that's just foreign matter, like just like the oodles of noodles. If you can picture like ramen noodles, like those, those like
Yeah.
those dehydrated ramen noodles. Like I survived on ramen noodles for like a whole year of college for like 2000, I think it was 2012, and that whole year, every single day, and it said like, I mean, it's GMO. It's like there's genetically modified. So you're thinking, am I genetically modifying myself by eating this genetically modified material? And then you just read the label. It's all this weird stuff when you actually read it. I never bothered to read it. And then when I was actually boiling it, when I was making it, I did exactly what it told me not to do, Maddie. Like it told me do not microwave. For years I was microwaving this thing. So I would pour tap water. We talked about tap water, right?
Yeah.
This was when I was younger. So I was straight from the faucet in the sink, pouring tap water. I would fill it up to the line. I would put it in the microwave, beep, 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 3 minutes, and I would radiate it in the microwave. Then I would take it out, and then I would just, mix it around, and I would put hot sauce, ranch dressing, and Parmesan garlic, and stir it up in the ramen noodle cup. Now, this is like for your body, this is a nuclear bomb. This is like a nuclear bomb. Well, I was doing this every day several times a day, because you know what, three meals a day plus snacks in between, that's the standard.
Yeah.
You know, standard American diet. They call it the SAD diet. So that's the
Yeah, it is
standard.
sad.
So
It's
I
a
was
sad
radiating,
diet.
right? I was radiating my guts every day, you know? So I probably, by the time I stopped, by the time I went on my first, you know, solid food vacation, was on liquids, I don't know what I even avoided. I don't know what I had. I probably had stomach ulcers from all the stuff that I was ingesting. Like it was probably, the parasites were having a field day in there. Yeah. They were kicked back, they were on the couch, parasites was in my body, they was changing the TV channel, they was lounging in there, you know, just chilling. So
Have
it's
you had
crazy.
any experiences of releasing
Oh
any of
yeah,
those?
absolutely. Like that first month, that first 30 days, it was all coming out. Just like you're doing, you know, I was juicing just like that. It was just day after day. And then even after 2 weeks, solid matter was still coming out of my body. Even though I hadn't had anything solid, it was still coming out.
Wow.
So it just let me know, like, wow, we really have no idea how much we can hold on to, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show what you were saying, Maddie, about, you know, the DNA and these things that are kind of modified, and like we're being modified, but we don't know we're being modified, you know?
Yeah. And I think all these like foods that are just like on the extreme of horrific end of what people are ingesting are just like bringing us into the material like 3D, like even deeper and even more, which is like bringing us out of like these timelines of human potential that is spiritual enlightenment. And it's almost like maybe darker forces or what, I don't know, whatever, like want that to keep us in these lower chakras of like survival and like, you know, fear and just stuff that isn't actually supporting our fullest capacity and potential. At least that's what I feel and believe. But yeah, it's super interesting how like the connection and the correlation, like when you rid yourself of that and you're also, you know, really being more cautious about what you're allowing and entering into your temple body on all levels, how much that also accelerates and opens you into your higher chakras and the more spiritual aspects of nature and reality also. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I love
important to
that you
cleanse
call
the
it,
temple.
yeah, Maddie, I love that you call it the temple body,
Yeah.
you know, into your temple body. Like,
Yeah.
what are you allowing through the doors, through the gates of your temple body?
Right. Like, what would you, because, you know, people make offerings at temples. I don't know if you've ever been to any
Right?
temples, but,
That's an
you know, it's
offering.
like
Yeah.
people, yeah, people offer, you know, fruits and, you know, um, different things. And how people enter the temple is always with reverence and respect. And, like, I think applying these same principles, treating your body with presence and reverence and respect, like using it as a place for prayer and ritual and ceremony, and yeah, even the way you eat your food and the presence you can bring to your temple
Hmm.
through that and how you're nourishing it. Yeah, it's a great lens to view the body in that way.
It's so important. It's so crucial, you know? It's so key, and it's so necessary. Like, just to have that perspective within the collective, and just to be more aware of what is already there, you know? And to be more aware with that self-care of, okay, I'm inviting these elements. I'm inviting, you know, this stuff into my temple body. I like that. I'm gonna start using that, temple body, into your body temple, you know? What are you allowing into your body temple? And just keep it simple, you know? Keep it simple with the temple, because it's an offering. Like you said, we're doing ceremonies, we're not just doing routines and regimens. These are habitual rituals that we're performing, ceremonial rites that we're performing, offerings, sacrifices we're performing every day, though we may know it not in our body
Mm-hmm.
temple. So to just to have that perspective of the sanctity and the sovereignty and just the holiness of your temple body, I think is amazing. I love that perspective that you have.
Mm,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So you mentioned just right before, we conclude here, I'd love to hear just what do you have for the future when you're looking ahead, Maddie, and you see the timelines for our potential here? What what hope do you have for the future? What do you envision for the world, for this new earth that we're coming into this frequency? What do you see for our timeline coming ahead?
Mm. Yeah, I hope people to just anchor into the sacred more and more in these times, and also, yeah, take care of yourself on all levels, mentally, physically, spiritually. Do what you can to um, adverse the effects of different things going on. Um, and yeah, like I like to get in the ocean every day. The Pleiadians have told me that salt water, it's so simple again, but salt water cleanses the auric field of, like, someone in the chat's talking about EMF poisoning. And so, yeah, I was just thinking, like, if you have access, getting in the ocean or salt water, maybe putting it in your bath if you can, like, it can help to, like, cleanse the EMFs. And there's just so much, that can be affecting our energetic body. And so just doing what you can to, getting the right knowledge, and yeah, praying for abundance and protection for all, and anchoring in the heart, anchoring into love always. That is always the path. Um, and yeah, loving yourself, loving your temple body, taking care of you, anchoring in energetic practices so you can raise your own frequency, and so we can all together raise the collective of humanity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree, Maddie. Someone once told me, he said, no matter the question, love is the answer.
Absolutely. Love is the
Love is,
highest frequency.
he said, love is the answer. No matter the question, love is the answer, you know? So thank you for that. Thank you for that piece. We need that. We receive that, you know? So my goodness, I love that you see the bright side of things, and that you look, because there's so much negativity that can be noticed. But if we can kind of focus that lens in a different direction, we can make an even brighter connection. So I love that you have that for yourself, for your health. And I'm congratulating you already on 21 days. You're at day 8 now, you're going 21. Juice Feast. This is amazing. The energy's raising. This is amazing. So if this is somebody's first time meeting you, Maddie, and they want to get in touch, maybe get in tune with you, or they want to learn if you have any services, any offerings of your own, what would be the best place for them to go to receive that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I might even do 40 days like Christ.
Why not?
or
Why
more.
not?
We'll see. I'm just tuning into how that feels every day, but
Yeah.
um but yeah, if you wanna connect with me, feel free to share a DM. I also love voice chats. You can send an audio text. I like to communicate in that way. And um, also, yeah, I will be having my website up in the next month or so. I'll be launching a pilgrimage to Egypt, actually. It'll most likely be for the end of 2025, I'll be holding a group pilgrimage to Egypt if anyone feels the call to go. That's also will be a way to connect with me as well. Um, yeah. Anyway, it was such a pleasure to share this conversation and
Absolutely.
share this space with you.
Much love. Much love. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Take
Have a
care. And
blessed day.
you as well. You as well. We'll see you.
See
Much
you.
love, everyone. Much love.